Hello and welcome to Astronomy Back to School Night. I am Deb Haas. I'm the astronomy teacher at Quince Orchard. A little bit about me. I have been a high school science teacher since 2001. I have degrees from Michigan in biology and anthropology. I actually have my master's in archaeology from Florida. I played archaeologist for a while, and then through a very weird series of circumstances, I turned that archaeology degree into a career at NASA doing education and outreach for 3 years. I fell from that into a program at Johns Hopkins where I gave Montgomery County Public Schools 3 years of my life. They paid for my master's in education. That was 2001, and here we are, almost 30 years later. So it was a pretty good deal all around. So I've been teaching high school since 2001. I teach, obviously, astronomy, AP environmental science, chemistry, project lead the way, environmental sustainability. I've also taught physics. I've taught forensic science. I think at this point, if it's in the science course catalog, I've taught it. It's been a long time. I am also the sponsor for Science National Honor Society, and on the rare occasions I get to leave the building, I go home to two kids. Well, sort of home to two kids. They're not really in the house. I have my son who graduated from the Watkins Mill Autism Program in 2022, and my daughter graduated from Sherwood in 2025. So they're kind of making their way off into the world. So, classroom basics for astronomy, basically just be a good human. Mistakes are okay. Don't be afraid of them. The kids will tell you that I'm usually the first one making them, and they're pretty epic. I have a very wide range of behavior that I will tolerate and accept in my classroom. Where I really draw the line is when kids start being snarky or rude to each other. And my big one is cheating and AI and plagiarism. That's really where I start drawing the line pretty hard. Obviously, per MCPS policy, they're not using their phones. But my biggest thing is that your kids are taking astronomy for some reason that was their choice. They're not getting graduation credit for it anymore. So they're there for a reason, even if it's something as simple as I needed to fill a hole in my schedule. So I really want to make it fun. I want to make it worth their time. And quite honestly, if we're not having fun, or at least not, outwardly hating it, we're doing it wrong. Day-to-day stuff. Materials and textbooks. We do have a textbook. We keep it in the room. Materials are just pretty standard. Paper, something to write with, something to write on. And when they forget it, I have extras. Types of assignments and homework. We do a lot of labs. I try to make this as hands-on as possible. Homework, I try to minimize it. This is an elective and the majority of the kids are seniors. So kind of the deal I make with the kids on the first day is you give me 45 minutes in class. I will not give you homework. I will give you plenty of time to finish in class. And it's a deal that's been working. I've been at QO since 2014 and it works pretty well. Grading, obviously follows the MCPS policy. Labs tend to be worth more than homework. Tests are worth more than quizzes. And then anytime there is a big test, there is going to be a project of equal value. So kids that don't test well, or they just get test anxiety, there's always something that's going to balance it out that will kind of appeal to however they learn. I do use Canvas a lot, not so much for direct instruction or for grading, but really as a resource for the kids. So anytime we do a lab, anything like that, if there's an electronic version, it's going to be on here. And this should be the first place that your kids go if they miss a day of class for whatever reason. What I do is I encourage them. You'll see just the homepage. There's everything. Here's the syllabus if you're interested. But I encourage them to always go through modules. And you will see that, here is everything that they have. When we get started, it's the beginning of school as I record this, so I'm not necessarily up and running. But for every unit, there is going to be a link here that says Unit 1 daily slides. And that's what I'm showing in class. The kids can always go there and see exactly what we did on any given day. So when in doubt, check Canvas. If they lost something and it's due tomorrow, they can always find another copy here. So Canvas, I cannot emphasize enough, Canvas is their best friend. In terms of what we study during the year, we pretty much start close to home and we move our way outwards into the universe. So we start with just simple motions of the sky. sun rises in the east, sets in the west. Where do seasons come from? How does it look like planets are moving? How does it look like stars are moving? And we kind of wrap that up with a big unit about archaeoastronomy, where we learn about how these cultures throughout time, throughout history, throughout the world have kind of viewed astronomy and what they learn. And kids really, really enjoy it. We move from Earth into the sun and the moon. We look at the solar system, and then we look at, for the last part of semester A, we look at astronomers and technology. Semester B, we start with stars and we keep moving out farther to the galaxies in the universe. The last unit that seniors do is space exploration, and we tend to have a lot of fun with that one. That's kind of my baby. That's where my interests lie. And then if we have time with the juniors, we get into modern astronomy with the things that are like really mind-bending, like dark matter and dark energy and the things that require, an understanding of quantum physics and things like that. And so that is a very brief look at astronomy. If you ever have any questions, please just reach out on email is probably the best way to reach me. Parent Square or Remind, whichever one we're using, depending on the time of year we are. And I look forward to talking to you. If you ever have questions, just let me know. Thanks.